Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. In this video we are going to work on the Del Sol a bit more, and we're going to start on the cooling system, or start finishing the cooling system I should say. So what we are going to do is to build the fill pot for the Del Sol, as this radiator does not have a fill port on it, and there'd be no way to get fluid into the system aside from pulling the hose off, dumping coolant into the hose, trying to jam it back onto one of the water necks, and that doesn't seem like the most ideal way to do it to me. So what we're going to do is to pull this upper water neck off. We're going to make a flange for it. We're going to take this tubing here, it's thick wall 1/2-inch tubing I believe, or 1.5-inch tubing rather. We have thick wall 3-inch tubing, and we also have a fill neck and a number 16 fitting, or that's a male weld bung rather. And all of those things combined will provide a spot to fill the Del Sol with coolant, to top off if need be, and to service the liquid portion of the cooling system. So a little side note, as you guys may have seen from the couple of posts that I made on here, I did end up closing on my house. Everything is squared away with that, and I'm in the process of moving in. So I'd like to thank you guys very much for your kind words, for your warm wishes, for everything, all of your support in this endeavor. I mean, this was the single largest purchase that I've made in my life, as a house is for most people. And it still doesn't feel real quite yet, but I'm ecstatic to finally have this over with, and it's the end of one era, beginning of another. So again, thank you all very much for your support, your kind words, all of that, and just thank you. So with that little heartfelt message out of the way, the first thing we need to do on the Del Sol to begin this fill pot construction is to pull that water neck off and to start drafting the flange onto a piece of aluminum from my pile over there. So let me get some tools and we can get to it. And now that we have this water neck removed from the Del Sol, we can go ahead and start making this flange. Now, I didn't look to see if I could purchase this flange, as it is really easy enough just to make one. So what we're going to do is take this 3/16 aluminum sheet, as 3/16 should be more than thick enough for a simple flange like this, and we're simply going to place it onto the piece of sheet metal and trace around it. And we'll trace the inside, trace the outside, and I will take my transfer punch set. I'll mark out where the two holes need to be, and I can cut out the rough shape of this flange on the bandsaw, and from there I can make any fine adjustments I need to, or any of the fine grinding that needs to be done on either of my belt sanders. So we'll go ahead, take a marker, and as I said, simply trace around, and that will give us the foundation for this flange. I also went ahead and took this little scribe that these typically come in a square like this. You can see that little hole on the top side right here. And I went ahead and I etched the outline of both the outside and the inside of this flange. And I like to do this, as if you see here, it's very easy to wipe the marker away, but even with my sandpaper hands, I can't exactly wipe the scribed etched line off of the piece of aluminum. So with that in mind, I can go ahead and cut the base of this shape out, and then I can get to the final forming and shaping, and then we can punch the hole in it and be well on our way to building this fill pot. After a little bit of machining, we'll call it, I have the flange roughed in and bolted onto the side of the Del Sol's cylinder head. So we are right there, and I just punched a 1 inch or 1.5 inch hole saw rather through the center of the flange. It fits nicely, and the only point of overlap on the flange's account is in this bottom corner, and it's very minute. So I'm going to call that good. It matches up well. And I also went ahead and ran a hole saw through a piece of tubing to put the radius that it needs to fit up to the side of our 3-inch tube body. So with those two things done, I can cut the piece of 3-inch tubing to that will make up the body of the fill pot, and I can get it roughly positioned to figure out the length I need to cut the inlet tube stub to. Once we have that figured out, then I can finish up the fill pot body, which will involve rolling the positioner over, welding it on the turntable. Have that done, and we can move forward from there. So let me go ahead and get a few other cuts made, take some measurements, and we can keep moving forward with this project. A bit of welding and fabrication later, and we have the body of the fill pot completed, as well as the inlet and the outlet stubs. So you saw I welded the body on the positioner. Let me throw my glove on, and we have nice positioner welds, top and bottom. That's the top side, obviously, and there's the bottom side. So nice round welds. I do like to use the positioner as it makes for a more uniform professional look. Now the outlet stub, I put the weld on and then decided that I wanted to blend it. So we have a nice blended outlet stub here. Looks like it's all one piece. And again, as you know, I don't have a lathe here, so I made do with the tools that I had, and I think it came out pretty all right. So this will go somewhere on the side of the tank body like that, or the pot body rather. And then we have our flange and our inlet stub, which the inlet stub has a slight miter grind into the bottom of it. It will sit like that. Then the pot body, and then the outlet stub. So now that we have these components made for our fill pot, let's go ahead and start tacking, marking, and in a little bit we can start welding this fill pot together. Here's what we have so far. So everything's tacked together, and we have a flange on the side of the head, the inlet stub, we have the pot body itself, we have the outlet stub, and this will go down to one of these two ports on the radiator, and the rear water neck, it's tucked back in there. Can't fit my hand and point at it, but you can see it there. That will go to the other port on the radiator. So this fill pot is all ready to weld at this point. So let me pull it back off, get it fixtured on one of my purge blocks to keep some heat out of the flange and make it so it doesn't warp quite as easily. And we can get to welding. After another day's worth of welding and fabrication, we have the fill pot completed for the Del Sol. So there is our finished product. Nice welds all around. Flange worked out nicely, and as you saw, the flange is welded inside and out and planed, so it is flat, it will seal. There's no gasket on it now, but once the gasket or silicone does go on, it will never cause an issue. So beyond that, everything kind of looks the same as when we just saw it mocked up not too long ago, minus obviously the welds on it. But this puts everything in a nice position for our fittings on the radiator, and the coolant nipple, or the overflow nipple, is in a good position where a line can be ran over into this area that is kind of dead space that an overflow could reside in. So with that being said, and with another project being completed and checked off the list for the Del Sol, that is going to be the end of this video. So as always, be sure to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, and I'll see you guys in the next one.